Our Tesla modules has been serving us very well. In 5 years we have had no measurable degradation on them, and they have been running very stable all the time. We had no power outages except the planned ones if we needed to do maintenance or do other things. Right now 4 of the modules is in here and it's being used currently. But we need more energy to be stored in our trailer, and we need a more stable solution or a solution you don't have to watch so much when we leave the motorhome for extended periods. Because we bought this new Tesla Model Y here, and that is power hungry if we want to charge it from our own setup as we're doing right now. We can generate more than 10 kilowatt hours for the car every day, and that is basically like 12% of the energy that we need for a full battery charge. So to replace those Tesla modules, there will be a solution that is a lot more, or that is no maintenance and require nothing to look at it. So these 8 Battleborns with heated functionality is going to replace them in the motorhome, and the Tesla modules will be used for storage in the trailer, allowing us quite a lot more energy to be stored and to charge the car when we get home in the evening. To account for the limited or less storage we have, we actually will implement a charging solution on the Battleborns. These ones are 12-volt batteries, but we will still be needing 24. So we will actually have 2 chargers, and these chargers will just be plugged into the trailer if we in the winter time will have days where we cannot generate enough energy to basically maintain our RV. The other option with these ones is they will be pulling around 1800 watt when they're both active, and the little Honda generator that we bought as a emergency feature if we run out of energy will actually be able to be used also running those ones directly, and it will load the Honda completely up to maximum, and it will be able to completely recharge the Battleborn battery bank in around 6.5 hours from dead empty to fully charged off that little Honda generator there. So that is a moving day today. I'm going to take out the other ones, put in the Battleborns, and see how all that works and reconfigure the whole setup. So the installation of the Battleborns has finished. They're filling up almost every inch in there that is in there. There's some half-inch plywood insulation around it, but there is not a lot of space left. Basically, there's an extra fuse here now in between the two banks, so that should short out the whole, or blow the fuse if anything actually shorts out the bank, even by hitting the terminals between the ground and the 24 volt, or the 12 volts like here, and the 12 volt like in there, for example. Testing right now, there's a little charger here. It is just taking power from the trailer, and it's basically charging directly on the batteries. It's the backup solution, and this one will also be what we'll actually be using a generator if that would be the one charging it in here. We can't use the direct charging in the inverter charger because it really will be limited, so we can only do the 1800 watt that the little Honda will do. The car, of course, is sitting over here and charging, and that's kind of the test, and we did 27 kilowatts from the kilowatt hour from the sun yesterday. Have crated up the Tesla batteries for now, and that will be installed at a later point when we get more room in the floor, so we can actually add more storage in here. This one is a secondary setup, and that is what actually outputting power now for the charger that is charging directly on the batteries. The installation went really simple. Beforehand I made all these connectors, 5¼ inch of 2-aught cable, and then the locks hammered on, and everything was just to bolt it in within 3 hours from cutting the power, maybe 4 with testing. We actually had power again, and everything was working as expected. One of the nice benefits is we used to be able to do 2800 watt with our two 60 amp controllers. Because the voltage is now quite a lot higher, we actually are all the way up to 3300 watt now, I think, at maximum. So more than 20% more input from the sun, and even this early in May we are basically maxing out the controllers for multiple hours every day. The original setup had 4 Tesla modules and actually room for 5, and we do have 5, but one was being used for some testing purposes installed, and we had 16 kilowatt hours of storage in here. On a regular day we would probably only use the 30% of that, so we would really only use 5 kilowatt hours probably overnight or something like that. The new setup has 8 Battleborn batteries, and each of them is 1¼ kilowatt hours, so we have a total of 10 kilowatt hours. That's only half of what we used to do, but as this picture shows, we actually are able to actually charge with 60 amp on each part of the battery bank with the Anderson connectors that is on top of the batteries in there. So in that way we'll be able to actually charge with the energy from the trailer. The idea is to improve the solar setup on the trailer, and actually also in the motorhome in the future, and it will actually be able to at that way record or store a whole bunch of extra energy in there, and we will just be using that for charging the Battleborn batteries in the RV instead of charging the cars in those days where we actually would need that. We also have the little Honda generator, and right now it was hooked up to those 60 amp controls. It turns out that they're actually overloading it because they're better than specified, so it ended up overloading the little Honda. But we do have a solution where we will be able to charge using a single 24 volt charger, and it will be a lot less than a full load on the Honda, but it could also be used for charging off the trailer if needed. The Tesla module has been crated up because they will have to wait a little. We have to get a hole in the floor where we would actually be storing them in, and there will even be a
an option to add even more storage inside the trailer. In total, all 5 of them are now crated up, basically sitting here waiting. We should be able to drive the Tesla in on top of these crates when we lay them one at a time. And in that way, we can still store them in our trailer securely until we have to use them. The screen has been updated. This one is a screen we have inside our RV, so we can basically follow everything or what our system is doing. See, right now we're actually charging the car here, and that's the reason for the more than 2,000 watt of usage. But the current input from the sun is actually over 3,200, and the trailer is charging too, so we're also using some energy. It is nice to be able to follow the temperature, and that's basically the temperature probes from the Morningstar controllers that is being used. And this one is the first day, first full day with the new Battleborn batteries. We generated more than 27 kilowatt hours of energy, and the gray line is basically the usage in here, and the green is how much came out of the batteries. So in the morning, we were starting to charge the car, and other things happened, of course, also. We got up to quite high loads in here. But as the sun came up, it was starting to charge the batteries, even we were actually still charging the Tesla. In the future, an upgrade of the solar panel plan, both for the motorhome, adding 8 panels instead of 6 and getting to modern panels over 400 watt. And on the trailer, we will actually go from 7 panels to having 19 panels back there. This one will be more than 10 kilowatts of solar panels, and that's why we need a lot of storage in the trailer. On a summer day, we should be able to charge more than 150 miles of free fuel on the Tesla with the setup of the trailer like this one. It is of course not being cheap, but fuel is not cheap either, and it's really kind of a challenge to see if we can get there.